Today is the final lesson in our discussion on React Native, where we're going to kind of put it all together, review all the components we've currently worked with, installed, and set up for building our React Native apps. And we're going to essentially deconstruct some of the applications we've built and actually organize them more effectively into a different type of organization structure so that we can reuse components throughout our application instead of having to constantly copy and paste components. So last time we talked about container navigations, we talked about using drawers to kind of stack our applications, our different screens, and where we could actually nest some different types of navigation like stack navigation with drawer navigation and just create components for our different screens here. So we started down this path to where we could actually create screen objects or functions and pass these around through the applications. We can then pass them into our stack. We can then take this stack and we can add it to the drawer. And the result was this application over here where we load the application, we get a home page, we click home, we go to notifications, we can go back and forth that way. We can go to menu. So this is the drawer. This is kind of that menu that was hiding behind the scenes. We can click settings. And from settings, we can go to home. We can go back to menu. We can go to home and so on. So we kind of combined all of the navigation components into one app. So today, I want to take this structure, take our app here, and I want to break it down into its components. So, I picked this one because we had already started this last time. We had already started organizing our app based upon screens and based upon navigation menus. So to start with, one of the things you can do is over here in your project, you can create a couple different folders for different things. So since we're doing Expo, we don't have a source folder, so everything can go into the root. So we can create a new folder, and we'll call this one Navigation. We already have an assets folder, and this assets folder contains all of our images or different icons that we want to display in our application. So we now have navigation, which will move all of our stacks, our drawer navigation here, and our navigators into navigation. We also can create another folder for our screens. Folder. This will be screens. Or just screen, and we'll do screens. Then we could also do one for components. So like say if we wanted to create custom views or custom text or custom buttons, we can create a components folder. If we had different translations, different languages, different text, we could also create what's called I18N for language. I'm not going to create this one because the latest update to React Native will build that for you based upon your particular operating system. It was something new that they added. If we had JavaScript, we could do it like an actions folder. If we want to do styles, we could do a custom styles folder. We want to do specific theme-based. So under styles, we could have a separate theme, or under styles have a theme folder. And underneath that folder, you could have like fonts, colors, matrix. If we were doing any API connections where we were calling like third-party APIs into our app, we could create an API folder or even a hook folder. And if you had a shopping cart, you would have like a shop folder as well. Since we haven't covered any of those topics yet, I'm going to stick to the ones that we're primarily have seen so far. So we've got our navigation, we've got our styles, and we've got our screens. We already had assets, and I added components. We may or may not get to that today. So let's start from the top. So here we have our home screen. Now, the whole purpose of organizing your project is so that one file does not have the entire application. We don't have everything in one place. We want to actually break things down so we're actually working on specific features within our application. So if we only want to touch the home screen, we really only want the home screen code. We don't want any of this other code. So we could take the home screen here, take this section here, go under screens, and create a new file, and we'll call this one home screen.js. So everything needs to be JS. We will paste our code in here. And we need to change this from a function. So since this is an actual, now a JavaScript object, we need to pass it as an object. So we need to make a constant, home screen, equals. Any parameters we need to pass in go here. And then we need to use the notation equal greater than. And then we build our function or the constant. In order to reuse this, we need to export default home screen. So by default, it'll take this home screen and export it. Now, this won't work because we haven't actually imported the components we need for it yet. So let's come back over here. So we don't need status bar. That only needs to be in the main app. React. Let's see, it actually highlights what we need. So we need button, view, text, and React. We don't have styles in here, so we'll get rid of styles. And we don't have any navigation, so we can actually get rid of all of these imports. Now, just by looking at this, we see that our home screen contains a view, and inside of that view, we have a text and a button. So our text tag displays our text, and we can add style to that. Button, same thing, we can add styles. But to actually activate the button, we have to add an onPress function. And we are going to pass the navigation tab around because we're going to be using that navigation stack. All right, and we set the title for our button. So this is the text of our button. And so if I save that, we now have home screen. Now, if I want to use home screen on the main app, first, we will get rid of the old function, and now we need to import our new screen. So we have home screen from the root, because app lives in the root, and then we need to go to our screens folder, and then we need to pull home screen. So now I can reference home screen within the application. So if I save this, it refreshes, and home still works. So we've created our home screen over here. So now let's pull out the notification screen. So we'll do notification real quick. New file, notifications screen.js. This section here, go to notifications, paste, and we'll start with the imports from home screen. Change our function to a constant. Reformat function to a constant. And we need to make sure that we export our new constant. Okay, we have view, text button, React. All looks good. So we'll save that. Go back to our app. That. Paste. Notifications. Screen. Okay. And because I'm naming them the exact same as their functions, I do not need to update any of the code down here. It just fits. All right, so we have one more screen. We have settings screen. So we'll copy the function name, new file, .js. So we have our settings. Again, copy it over, take our imports, change our function to a constant. Export default settings screen. Back to our app. Delete that. Settings, screen. Screen. Save. The app still works. Still happy. All right. So now we've got our screens. We're importing them. Well, we really don't need them here because we want to create some navigation stacks. So we have this home stack, and we'll go under navigation, and we'll create a new file here. So do new homestack.js. Here, copy. Now this one, because we need stack, we need that first part. So we'll copy the stack. Stack, close some of these. All right, so now we got home stack. Turn this guy into a constant. Just modifying the function. Again, export, alt, stack, because we want to return this guy when we're calling this JavaScript. We need some imports. So what's cool about using Visual Code with all the plugins we've talked about, it actually shows you what you need to include and what you don't need to include. So in home stack, we don't need the status bar. We don't need style sheet. We don't need view or text because they're not being used. Don't need the create drawer navigation or the navigate container or settings. So now when we load this screen, we're only loading the components that we need. Okay, so there's home stack. So now I can import home stack. So if I delete this section here. So if I save it, we're going to fail because currently it cannot find home stack. So now if I go here and I do import home stack, it will automatically insert the location. And we now see we don't need home screen or notification anymore because those are in home stack. So we can drop those. We can also drop style sheet. And we can also drop view and text. Now we could technically also drop the status bar, but we kind of need that guy for the expo for debugging. All right, so pull that in. Oh, we have another error here. None of these files exist. So in our navigation screen, home screen, it now cannot find the path to home screen. Go to home stack. We have to change our path here to actually go up a level, not from root, because we're down a folder. When we were in app, we could use dot, which would say start at the root and go find the folder. However, here we're under a folder off of the root under navigation. So we need to use dot dot to go back up a level in order to find the folder that we're looking for. So all you gotta do is just change it to dot dot. So what's nice about this, as we walk the stack, as we start cleaning things up, the Expo debugger is pretty clean about telling us what we forgot to do or what else we need to do.